one thing I've learned. If you don't hold their feet to the fire, everybody gets burned.
Hold on. Before you start waving around that freedom of speech thing, when you're in a crowded movie theater and you scream fire, you better be able to smell smoke. You come on this radio show and you start saying inconsiderate things like that, you better have more behind you, pal, than just your thumb. I've been listening to talk radio for years, and one thing I just can't stand is when the host has to, push his way on the people, beat the callers into his way of thinking, extending his ego, or when the callers call in and say something so outrageous and the host lets it go unchallenged. The sign you're on the road to truth is the lack of contradiction. You want to find truth, you just don't simply believe somebody because of their authority or their degree, or you listen to what they say, you test it against reality, and you hold their feet to the fire. All right, we are back, and we are live. Feet to the fire. I'm your host, James Althianchik, the Black Knight of Talk Radio. It is live. It is October 18th. Oh, I forgot my little screen here. Hold on. There we go. October 18th, which is my father's birthday. He's passed away a long time ago. Let's see, it would be 42 years ago. And I tell you, when I was, he probably died when he was 44. When I became 45, it was really one of the only birthdays that really was significant in understanding how young he was. He made a great impression, even though being rather silent giant, so to speak. But we are live. I was thinking about what to talk about. I got so many things. And I'm tired of just going over the news. A lot of people are doing it, and it's crazy. And actually the speeding up and the craziness of the stuff that's coming out and the blatantness and the obvious interfering in the elections from the big tech and all this stuff. It got me thinking back. I talked a little bit, maybe a month ago, I don't know what it was, about the whole idea of the time speeding up. And, as it looks now, talking with some friends when I'm driving, trying to predict what's going to happen, trying to predict the future is foolish. It's moot, because there are so many things that have never happened before that are happening. And the complexity theory that I talked about a couple weeks ago from reading the book Road to Ruin and Aftermath Economics, but inside there, learning about the complexity theory of systems, complexity system theory, and how so many things, little things, can affect the giant macro. Micro can affect the macro in ways you can't see. It's like a pebble hitting the water, and then being the energy needed to bust a dam. Because it did this, and then it hits that, and then this other thing happens, and this other thing happens, and this other thing happens, and so on. And, and I came up with a kind of a title for the show, or for the talk. I'd call it a show. Is basically speeding toward a collapse. Now, is that bad? I mean, it might not be bad. we were seeing all kinds of bad stuff around us. We're seeing potential civil war or riots and knocking out power and hacking and knocking out banks and closing down banks and possible collapse of monetary and go on and on of all the possibilities that are coming. And if Biden camp will win and all the corruption investigations will go away, and we will start the downward spiral into corruption probably faster because they almost lost, so there's all this stuff together, and will Trump be able to survive? I mean, physically, at some point, somebody's going to pop him because, look what happened to Gandhi. He successfully beat the powerful might of Britain without fighting. And so when he won, it's somebody went in and shot him. He goes, all right, you won, but you can't, you're not going to stay alive. And then the aspects of dealing with a monetary collapse, what are you going to do for it in the meantime? It's like, well, I think about it and I just go, wow. But today I was thinking about the time collapsing. And if you look at, I don't know how you do this. There's a graphic that I put up on a Spreaker, which will transfer over to YouTube. I'm going to try maybe and replace the YouTube auto picture with a better version of it. But I was thinking of fractals and time fractals, and I was going through page after page after page. In fact, one of the reasons why I started later, I had this in my head to do. And as I went through all these fractals, this one just jumped out at me as a representation of time and universes. Now, we cannot in our own 3D mind understand how the whole time of the universe works. Multiple universes, parallel universes, and all this stuff. We can understand analogs of it because we don't have it's not just being smart enough, it's perspectives, more dimensions, and, and so forth. So when people try to put things that they can't actually comprehend, all they can do is put it in terms that's most close. I use the example of talking about heaven having streets of gold and jewels and all that. My way of thinking that the vision of it to people who can't really comprehend it, that's how it might have appeared to them to try and use their own personal understanding to be able to convey how wonderful it is in terms they can understand. Which is where that comes from. Is it actually gold? I think it would be if you understood everything at that level, it would be gold to them at that level. It wouldn't be gold, though. It would be the value of something really wonderful. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. So when I saw this fractal, and it's basically looked like a bunch of nautilus shells, and they're all swirling into each other. And I'm wondering about, and you hear about, I forgot to put that on a little cover, Mandela effect, and how people used to say, well, this is how it used to be, and it isn't. And some people, you just don't remember. Maybe that's true. You have the Timewave Zero from, I saved it here because I keep forgetting his name. Terrence McKenna. Now, I don't know why that's a blank. I couldn't even pick him out of a lineup. But anyway, his time-wave theory was fascinating back in the days of Art Bell, and it seemed to coincide with the Mayan calendar. And Ian Lungold and his work on the Mayan calendar, which I mentioned a couple weeks ago, I put the links in it again, and how things were speeding up in terms of significant events our significant events are becoming closer together. That's how time is measured in terms of speed, is the space between significant events, not like the number of seconds that go by. And so when you overlay all these things, the Mandela effect could possibly be parallel universes that are coming close together and merging. and some things from one universe, one time frame. So the parallel universe is so close that some of the things that are different are very subtle, and as it gets close, some things from one become the reality, and some from the other. Now, I don't quite know where me in the other universe goes if we combine, and that could be a traumatic. It could be upsetting. You could have, hey, I'm feeling really weird today, or whatever. So all these things are happening because it is you, almost, pretty much. And so as you look at this fractal, you have all these parallel universes, and they're all spiraling together into the one at the beginning, at the middle. I mean, so I guess it's some called the singularity. I don't know what but as some of the things I jotted down on here, what I thought would be a characteristic of this, if this happening. Now, this is all, you notice we're talking about this theoretical kind of, some people would say nonsense stuff, which I kind of like to do, except they get caught up in all the crap that's going on. So I'm just decided to go ahead and do this. I mentioned Timewave, mind calendar. Time is speeding up. Okay, Mandela effect. What it seems to me that in life, when you are going through a cycle, a karmic cycle, or a job, you're in a situation and you have to go through this puzzle, go through this and finish it, right? So there are spiritual conclusions of the cycle. I liken it to a merry-go-round, right? You're on the merry-go-round, you got to deal with what you're in, but if you deal with it properly, you'll be ready to see where the other merry-go-round lines up, and you can just step over to it. No real effort. If you try to get off the merry-go-round early, then it's traumatic because you fall out onto a different merry-go-round that you weren't meant to be on, or cycle. I mean, I'm trying to come up with, again, analogs to something that's complex out of our range. So you have this clockwork of the universe, the clockworks of the parallel universes, and you have the physical closeness and collapsing of the multiverse. I don't even know what to call it. You have it happening, and to me, I would think that what's happening now would be a possible reaction of all of these things happening simultaneously. And one of the things I thought of, that lies would be revealed, because when you have truth being solid, the only real thing in all of these parallel universes, as it collapses, the truth is reinforced. Where the truth was hidden in one will be revealed, and the truth was hidden in the other, it will be revealed when they come collapse together. So when I look out and seeing great tumult, you have people who are losing their footing, their grounding. If their grounding is in the material, the materials are fading away, or things that used to be important aren't, and all that stuff, to reveal what is important, which is your own spiritual, your mind, your soul, and so forth. So when you see this happening, lies will be exposed. I mean, to me, this is a kind of a logical conclusion. I know, I can't prove all of this. This is a theory, assertion of, if I was going to look at what's going on out there now and try to come up with an explanation for it based in a larger, higher dimensional, I keep using the word clockwork. I don't know. I'm short of words on this. So that when these universes collapse onto one another, there is a tumult. There's also good things. There would be a increase of discoveries, because you have the various universes having gone into their various parallel universes, going into their various science, and there are things that they've done, both positive and negative, which they've went off on their own little spiral, are now collapsing into each other. So you're going to have great storms and great wars and great terrible things and great wonderful things, great inventions, great awakenings. I mean, all this would be happening at once as this collapses. I mean, this is in my mind trying to visualize looking at these spirals of multiple parallel universes to each other, spiraling down to collapse into one. And if you want to take it a step further and go into higher dimensionals, not just like our universe and having a copy of it that's slightly different, that's still the same dimensional properties. So now picture this collapse happening in higher dimensions. People in lower dimensions are being raised up, thus the term ascension, you must say, raised up into higher dimensions. The higher dimensions are being compressed down so that they will be appearing into lower dimensional aspects. So if you have the parallels collapsing and then you have the dimensions collapsing, if you want to get to this so-called zero, where you would have no time, time would be eternal, it would be timeless. It wouldn't be standing still. It wouldn't be going fast. It would be timeless. You would have dimensionless. You would have the ability, and we can't understand these things because we're locked in ours. So it's hard for me to explain it, but I kind of get it. I'm getting this thing in my head, especially when looking at the fractal. Looking at this fractal to me is like, yeah, that's it. Only it's because it's an art piece that's able to transcend the normal consciousness that we have, and it could bring through it from a higher consciousness. I mean, art and music is really good for that. Of course, what art and music's been doing now lately is dragging people downward, because the people who are attached to material, in the sense, will take the downward levels of this spiraling. I think, keeping the analog train going here, it'd be like if, you ever see that video with the squirrel jumps on the bird feeder and spins around and lets go. I think that as things speed up, you're going to be forced into motion. And if you don't try to flow with these collapsing, the speeding up and the collapsing, if you don't flow with it and you fight against it, you're going to be tossed off the merry-go-round or whatever. You can picture that physical but yet metaphysical and yet spiritual idea where you're going to be thrown around and doing on this. I'm trying to look at a spiritual dimensional blending and how that might actually act out, and what would be the consequences that you could see. I remember years ago people talking about Planet X. Whenever there was an earthquake, they would say that those that's a proof of Planet X coming in and perturbing the with gravity. Which that statement is fine, except there would be other things happening at the same time if that's what was happening. So that's why I looked at it for a while and then I just kind of let that go. I mean, but that idea is, as these things would be collapsing, blending, I'm trying to come up with new words here without having it carry with it a positive or a negative in how I'm saying it. There's going to be, all of that is going to come from it. And how you can handle it would be how you can get through this. I mean, I know in my own life, I'm trying to work stuff out, generator and all this stuff and what's going to happen, this, because I don't know what's going to happen. All the things I'm seeing seem to have a negative. Now, if you look at from a Q perspective, they're going to look at it positive, right? So you have your various ways of looking at how things are going. And I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just on what I think is going to happen, whether it's going to be like a civil war or what have you, what Trump's going to win. Is there enough people that are going to be able to steal it? If they steal it, how's it going to happen? I don't know. You can't predict it. People, if they say, yes, this is going to happen, you can't predict it because there's too many variables never ever seen before. Just having the mail-in ballot put together haphazardly at the last minute, right there is it. Never would have happened. Plus, with the revealing of all the corruption going on and the revealing of those trying to hide the corruption, before it was more subtle. And now it's like first of all, you can't hide the corruption, though you can direct it or protect certain areas from it for a time. But it now shows those people are part of the corruption. It's really kind of amazing. And then you end up having President Trump get COVID and get through it at his age, almost like a living proof that you can get through this disease, that is not as bad as they say. Unfortunately, some people have had it. Just like back in the old days, some kids would die from the measles or whatever. It was a smaller number, but it did happen. People do die in this world. In fact, we all die in this world. Everything dies in this world. It came to the conclusion that the price to be, quote, alive in this universe, this world, the price to pay for that is pain and death. There's joy. There's a bunch of other things that go along with it, but those prices you're going to pay those prices. It's going to happen. Some people, they'll die in their sleep nicely or whatever, and I don't know what that's like, so I don't know if there's a problem with that. And other people will be, beat to death. I mean, I you know what I'm saying? But the idea is that if you look around the 3D universe, all animals, plants, even minerals go through this fact that they're all going to die sometime. The sun's going to nova, and it'll crisp the earth. Plants die, animals die, and we die, So it's like this is part of being here. And there's a set things to learn here in the time we are here, and here being the best place to do these things. So, again, when you combine all of these universes together, if this is indeed what's happening, this is all just, I wouldn't even call it theory, then you're going to combine all of the versions of you, let's say, and there's going to be a universe like when you've died. So when that universe collapses in here, there won't be a you to combine with. But on that universe, the elements that combine here, you're alive again, if you will. But it's subtle because they're so close together that I give you an example. I remember very specifically Billy Graham dying years ago, and they had had a big, not a benefit, what do you call it, a memorial, and some people came and sang, and they talked and all this stuff. And I'm looking at the cable thing, I'm seeing Billy Graham doing these revival type things. What do they call them? I forgot the name of it. And he'd go out, all over the world, you go out and preach, big audiences. And I'm seeing, they must be, rerunning them, because you can still rerun them. They're still good, because he's dead. And then here he is alive doing them. I go, wait a minute, he was dead. I know he was dead. Well, there you go. Just to use the example, there's two universes that collapsed, parallel universes that collapsed. One of them he died, one of them he didn't. I'm in the one he died, apparently, and he came into this one with that universe. This is all theoretical, or not even, this is all what I'm coming up with here. What I'm trying to say is it explains things. But, of course, I can't show you the empirical evidence of the collapse in terms of the mechanisms, how does it work, and what's the physics behind it. But what I'm trying to convey here is the footprints of if it would happen. Because it's such a out of our understanding events, that everything I'm saying is basically putting it in analogic terms so we can understand it, so I can even understand it or convey it. Yet when I look at this fractals collapsing in there, it could explain everything. I mean, explain the return of Jesus, well, because he's in other universes at the moment. It collapses in ours, and there he is. Or he's at the center, nor the center of the collapses when they happen. I mean, right now it could be universes could be collapsing into each other, or I should say absorbed by each other. I don't know how you want to say it. It could be happening 100 times a second for all you know. The way things are happening so fast, and things are happening that normally would take years or not even happen at all. To me, things like the collapsing of these parallel universes are happening quite fast, and it's shocking. So the good things about it would be that, for example, the corruption comes out, the lies come out, because reality is not relative. Reality is real. We're in real reality. It's not like, oh, it's all illusion and all that. No, that is an illusion. That's a delusion. What we could see more of if we had a wider consciousness, I go with that. And perhaps the combining of the universes will expand our consciousness, because more of us, if I can say this, are going to be together and have a greater consciousness. Now, I'm just playing here, but I'm serious too. To me, it's like this is a real possibility. And we may be speding toward this Timewave zero, or what I just said it before, the singularity, whatever that might be. And this is the, it's like when you're coming to the waterfall, the water starts speeding up. Right now, the waterfall is a bad event. You go over the side, but if you can look at it in terms of look at it like a black hole. The gravity well gets deeper when it's more condensed. So people things fall in toward the black hole faster until, their feet are falling faster than their head or whatever. So as we are collapsing together or combining more and more, and the spiral is going faster and faster, we're going down this whirlpool to this. Could explain a lot of the tumult. And maybe where we're at now, we still got a ways to go. So it's going to get pretty wild. So this is something I just was kicking around. I thought, it'd be a great change of pace to talk about something like this and think about it, because rather than just stare into like the oncoming train or something, because it's like you're looking at the oncoming train, you're watching it come to hit you. It's going to hit me any minute, but you could just step off the tracks at any second and it'll miss you. But that stepping off the tracks is not part of your awareness of what you could do. Because you're stuck or you're tied or whatever. But, in another universe, another parallel universe, there might have been a time where the person could easily miss the train. And that combination will change it, In fact, you call her. In fact, what was her name? I can't think of her. It just came to my mind now. I had her on my show several times. Reality slipping. What's it called? Reality change. I can't think of her name. Larson. Cynthia Sue Larson. You see, I was thinking about something else and it slipped through. Let me see if I can look it up real quick. Larson. Cynthia. Reality shifter. There you go. See, I've had her on a few times, and she had some interesting things. And I've had events where I was going to go into a truck crash, and I just yelled out, "No!" in a very emotionally commanding, powerful sense, and time slowed down to allow me to stop well in advance of sliding in the back, because it was slippery out. Turn the corner, all the trucks are stopped, all the cars are stopped, and I'm coming around at highway speed, and there was no clue that they were stopped. And I just hit the brakes, and said that, and I watched everything kind of just stretch out, and slow down, and I stopped well behind them, many semi-lengths behind them, and it was impossible. There's an example perhaps of her reality shifter, but then also we come into this idea of using more of our consciousness than we know we have. How do we acquire it? one of the theories is that we have this big consciousness and it's pinched off. Because if too much, this is the theory, if too much of it was shown, we couldn't handle it. Right? It would be too much for us to grasp. So little by little, we're supposed to be, getting more and more consciousness, or a wider consciousness. And this could be the process of doing it as we combine ourselves, if we will. Just picture that everything that you could possibly choose in your life, you do choose in parallel universes. So you have the experience of all possible choices that you have done and have done to you. You can think about that. You go, the longer you live, the bigger that number gets. So you put that all out there. Those are all parallel universes, and they're all collapsing in there. So the bottom line, when you're done, you'll have the experiential knowledge and wisdom from like all things you could have done right and wrong. I mean, these are kind of the ways I'm looking at it. So that's why I write on the graphic, speeding toward collapse is this bad. Because looking at this more, you may perish in this universe in an upcoming event. I don't know, a riot or whatever. But you're alive in uncounted more other universes. So your consciousness, you ever wake up from a dream that's terrible, and it's really bad. You're like, oh, and you wake up and you go, oh, wow, I'm glad it wasn't real. Well, maybe it was in another parallel universe, and it and the distortions in it are the conversion into this one. I don't know. See, I don't know any of this stuff. One of the things what I do here is I just don't rule off stuff. Unless it's, it's been shown time and again, it's not the deal. But I kind of let it be possible, and these things kind of coalesce around, and you get a picture of possibilities. Now, when your life's not depending on it, you're not flying a plane and go, I wonder if we can turn the plane up, turn the wings upside down. It'll work in another universe that does that. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. But we're coming into a time now that things are so dramatic. I mean, every day goes by and there's blockbuster news. Now I just read there's a possibility, that people are talking about possibility of China attacking Taiwan during the election. Because during the election, like Facebook and all those are going to go down. These are all possibilities. I'm stacking them up like bricks. Facebook and all these will go down. So you're not going to know what's going on. Cable can shut down. What's going to happen? So you could be totally like no phones, no internet, no cable TV. And what you'll have left would be like ham radios, CBs, if you got a scanner, all this stuff. This could actually happen. Because as I'm watching what's going on with the big tech and all this, I mean, Twitter went down for 2 hours here. No explanation. Went down, the entire United States went down, and most of the world. And they said, well, we don't know what happened. We're looking into it. What? Wouldn't that be like, oh my God, what possibly, if you're Twitter, wouldn't that be the biggest thing that ever happened to you? Wouldn't you be a little worried about that? I don't know. So either they did it purposely because they're testing we're going to turn it off at the election so no one will know what happens. Trump won't be able to communicate with the people. They can have preset riots started, preset infrastructures bombed. It's all going to be planned. And that's not even like, oh, no, that can't happen. No, it can happen. It's happened in Syria, Afghanistan, Iraq. You've had we've had the Maoist revolutions and the Bolsheviks back a while, and now we're here with more toys that go wrong. The more complicated the systems are, the easier it does to break down. The complexity systems theory I'm talking about. But so that's what I'm looking at, and I'm like nervous. I trusted in God, and it's like, hey, whatever happens, happens. If I die, I'm going to die anyway. I just want to make sure I live well and godly, and and that's true and everything. So I keep getting freaked out and planning and trying to figure out what's going to happen. So I have a tendency to try to figure out what's going to happen but I don't have enough information to be able to figure out what's going to happen. So I just keep the scenarios. I keep trying. Well, what is this? Well, what if this? What is this? What is this? And it drives me nuts. And that's one of my problems of being like an overthinker analyzer. I keep thinking if I could put another 10 minutes in it, I can figure out something. You don't have enough information. You're not going to figure it out. You could guess it. You could be right by guessing, but you won't have the figured out knowledge behind it. You'd be a guess, and then you'd find out later if you were right, so it wouldn't be the. So this is what I think, I think as I look at it and go, other than like Jesus just coming and saying, taking over, stopping all this stuff, which would be great, but I tend to think that'd be like winning lottery if you have money problems. Oh, that'd be great, but it just seems like too easy. I know there's many lottery winners went broke and, alcoholics or whatever, but you get the gist of the point. And I just officially took off work on the 3rd. First off, I don't know what's going to be like to vote in terms of lines, and I don't know if there's going to be trouble, and trying to stop the vote. I mean, I'm in Illinois. The odds of Trump taking Illinois are pretty slim, though it's not impossible. And boy, that would be great. So, I don't know. What do you think of this stuff? I mean, is this like a waste of time, this particular show? Was it interesting? As I look at it, to me it makes sense that this is possible. All throughout history, if you go through Bible and you go through secular history, you have this linear wave. We started here, whether you're cavemen or Adam or whatever, and you go through here, and then these wars happened, and these people did this, and this was found. You have this linear thing, but I'm thinking that it's not linear. It's linear to us because we're going through it. But as it speeds up now, right? It's not. To me, it's showing its non-linearness in how things are going. It's like a exponential or type of and that's why the Mayan calendar and this Timewave and the Nautilus type fractals and all this, they all kind of fits. And so maybe I'm just trying to come up hoping or fantasizing or projecting or pondering, as I like to say, just pondering options to just having everything go to hell. So. All right. Well, anyway, if you want to leave comments on this or email to me, my email is feettothefireradio@protonmail.com. I know it's long, but it's easy to say and remember. If you want to ask questions about stuff, if you want to have suggestions, believe I really would like people to ask me if they want to know an opinion I have on something. Like, for example, I just brought this up, right? No one asked me to do this. Somebody might like it. Some people won't like it. But if there's something you'd like me to comment on, send an email to me and I will tell you. I mean, I've kind of lost most of the Planet X people over time now because I've gone through it thinking it might be true and investigating it, coming up where I think at least the model that the Nancy leader / forgot his name, the other guy, that model is just not real. But I mean, I tried it. So anyway, if you come up with something you'd like me to talk about, just send me an email, feettothefireradio@protonmail.com. In fact, I recommend everybody get Proton Mail email. It's totally secure. Well, secure as your computer is. I mean, somebody could watch you over your shoulder or use a screen capture, but I'm referring to the internet transfer of it. There's a free option, like it's like Gmail without the spying. And if you want to put out a few bucks a month, there's a advanced version of it, multiple emails and more space. They're also coming up with a drive to compete with Google Drive that'll be pretty secure and so on. So, I mean, that's why I'm kind of switching everything to that. All right. Well, I think that's it. And I will, I got to hit the sheets. Another day, another week of driving in crazy land. And we'll see. But take care. God bless. Pray for what's going on. Pray for intervention, energy intervention. into this to help through going through the collapse into the ideal situation if that's the case. So, alrighty, God bless. Reach for the skies within and fractal sky.
Oh, my old friend, the one who walked before, the one who walked again, the ancient one of old, with wisdom for the new. Revive our inner sight, retell your timeless truths. Oh, ancient one.
Feet to Fire is a production of IPS Media Works on the OnSync radio network of stations.